Happy New Year, everyone, and welcome to Platform 1.
Welcome for the first day of 2020, and we're already here in the Platform 1 studio. We just couldn't wait to get started this year with Platform 1, and I mean, so much to look forward to in 2020, isn't there, really? Absolutely.
2019 was already a massive year for model railways, as you will have seen from previous Platform 1 episodes, and all of the content on the Hattons website too. And as Dave says, there's plenty more to look forward to in 2020 as well. So we're going to give you a bit of a preview here today and take a look at some of the forthcoming projects from ourselves, as you can see on the table here, from Hornby, Dapol, Oxford Rail, and we're just going to have a quick look at what most exciting projects are coming through so far.
That's it. There is something for everyone coming through in 2020, and all of it is available on our website as well, and in front of us too. So let's get started.
Let's get started. Well, the party's going to start, but I think we'll put these to one side for now, because this
might be uncomfortable for the whole hour, I think, having those on, so... Well, we had the commitment for a little bit, didn't we, there?
Yeah, we were committed for a while, but let's crack on with the show anyway. So we've got a lot of Hattons Originals models in front of us here, including, of course, our brand new Class 66 locomotives, which some of you lucky few may even have already on your layout, with even more coming through in 2020 as well.
Yes, we did start to ship these late in December last year now. And they were for the pre-order customers they came through. But if you haven't got your order in yet, don't fret. The rest are coming in this month or later in February as well. And as you can see here, we've really featured these a lot before on Platform 1, but it's absolutely fantastic to take another look. This is the production running sample that we featured. And as Jack mentioned, a lot of you will have had these under the Christmas tree as well.
That's it. And obviously, with that first release, with all the pre-orders going through, there was a lot of different liveries there, but there's even more to come in 2020. Of course, late last year, we announced 5 new liveries for the Class 66, including some of the contemporary, exciting liveries that we've seen that released in 2019, such as Cemex, Freightliner, G&W Orange, and British Bowman Pullman, and a few others as well. So it's really exciting to see those ones come through, alongside the digital fitted and the sound fitted versions of the 66s as well, in all of the different liveries we've covered, such as the ones you can see on the table.
And that takes it up to 37 variations in total, all of which can be pre-ordered with analog or digital sound fitted. We can see some of the distinct liveries here and in front of us on the table as well. And as said already, we've featured these a lot, but they really are an exquisite model as well. We've gone to town on the details, making sure most of the individual variations of the class are covered in there as well. They've got a heavy die-cast chassis, space for a huge sound speaker. Our own Rail Rumble speaker is coming with the pre-fitted sound versions later this month as well, so they're coming through. We've got a great running quality in there. We've got the 5-pole motor with twin flywheels. We've got full lighting functionality on analog or digital as well. So we really have gone to town in making this pretty much the highest quality double O diesel you can get.
You can't forget those rotating axle boxes either. That's such an amazing feature, which so many people are excited to see as well. And of course, you've got your full directional lighting in there. You've got cab lighting, but it's not just the normal level of lighting here, is it? You've got super shunter mode, you've got day and night mode, so whatever way you want to operate your 66, you can get that full prototypical running there on your layout too.
And the 66 transformed the UK railway network. They were first introduced in 1998, and over 450 of them have ran in the UK since that. They really are the mainstay of UK's freight services at the moment, but a lot do perform on passenger duties as well. So if you are a 00 modeler of that modern image, you've not really got an excuse not to get one, to be quite honest with you. But also, do check out our YouTube channel, as we've got a lot of video content on these specifically as well. We have interviews with the designers of the sound file projects. We have running sample videos, further videos on there as well. So if you really want an in-depth look at these, do check out our website and our YouTube channel. And if you've got yours already, let us know what you think. And if you've not got yours yet, place that pre-order and it will be with you later this month.
That's it. Get tempted by all that amazing content about the 66s online, and you can order one right now. And there's 37 different liveries to choose from. So there really is something for everyone. As you touched on as well, I mean, over 20 years of service now in the UK, operate pretty much all over the place. If you've got a layout from the 1990s onwards, there's no reason not to have one. There really isn't.
And as well, we mentioned the 37 liveries, but the story of the 66 is not yet over. We're just coming into the 2020s now, and this is a whole new chapter for the locomotives. A lot of new operators, a lot of new liveries coming through there as well. So this is just scratching the surface.
I'm
Who
sure
knows?
there'll be even more surprises this year
Oh,
as well.
absolutely. Really can't wait to see what we've got coming in 2020 there as well. But let's get a little bigger,
Yeah.
I think. Let's have a look. And now, fans of the show will know that we've brought through our A3s late last year, coming through from Helgen in O gauge, and now following those through, coming out in the next month or so, are the A4 Pacifics, the streamlined version. And this, to me, is steam. This is just as it goes, really. You do not get better than an A4. It's just the full final development of that 1930s streamlined design. And of course, these were the fastest as well, the fastest steam locomotive ever. Mallard at 126 miles an hour is modelled in our range too, as we see there. So these are record breakers, these are accolade locos. And people who have our A3s already will know the quality that these are coming through at. But if you haven't, you can just see on the images here and on the desk in front of us that these exude quality.
That's it. These really are like the pinnacle of that heyday of steam with the Big Four era. And it's probably the most identifiable loco in the world. I mean, who doesn't know what an A4 is? Who doesn't know Mallard? Who doesn't know Union of South Africa? I mean, I even saw Union of South Africa a couple of weeks ago, in fact.
Right.
So, you can still see the A4s powering about on the main line or on heritage railways as well, which is fantastic to see. So there's something for everyone here, which is something we tried to cover with deliveries too. You've got a lot of different options here. You've got everything from the very early days of the LNER, some of the more interesting colour schemes like the silver colour scheme here, right up to the present day with Union of South Africa and other locomotives like Flying Scotsman with its smoke deflectors on there and the BR green with like crest. So there really is something for everyone. And of course, the Garter blue like we have here with Mallard.
And as you saw maybe on our Facebook page or our website last year, we did receive the production samples just before Christmas there as well. And they're what we have on show here today as well. And there are 9 variations that come in pre-numbered with some of the most famous locomotives in the class, such as Mallard or Union of South Africa. But 2, every single livery is being produced unnumbered, so you can replicate any of the 34 members of the class. And you do have the different variations as well, different tender styles from the non-corridor to the corridor tender, the skirted and non-skirted versions too.
Got different chimney types here as well, so you've got the single chimney and the double chimney represented.
So you can model pretty much any A4, whether you want one that's pre-numbered and pre-named as one of your favourites, or if we're not producing that variation pre-numbered, you can buy one of the unnumbered locomotives, such as the silver version here, and put your favourite identity onto it.
That's it. And all of these are available to order right now. You can get these for £750. And there is more great rolling stock for these to purchase as well.
Yes.
So it's not just going to be sitting there on the mantelpiece or running around your layout on its own. You can get a lot of different coach types for this. And of course, we are producing our own LNER teak coaches in a variety of different colour schemes, and they'll be due in 2020 as well. So do keep an eye out for those to run with your A4.
We're forgetting Genesis. We can't forget Genesis.
We were just talking about rolling stock. We've got to go on to coaches.
This is the big one for this year, isn't it, coming through? We announced these in about September or so last year, the 4- and 6-wheel coaches to generic designs, but in a variety of pre-grouping liveries. And this has got to be the project we've done where it's had so much positive response and everyone is talking about it. And we've really worked hard on the development of these. We've done some revisions to the designs over the Christmas period as well. So you'll be seeing a lot more on these very soon. But it's just the sheer number of liveries and opportunities on these for me, which really makes them stand out.
That's it. And this is something that a lot of people have been crying out for a long time in double O gauge. It really is something that needed a creme de la creme model to come through here.
Yes.
And we really are trying to push the boundaries as much as we can in making this the ultimate 4- and 6-wheel coach model. And of course, you guys have helped with this too. We've had a lot of fantastic feedback through Platform 1, through forums, through our website and other means as well, and we've taken all of that feedback on board, which has been very greatly received, because of course we're making this model for you guys, so we want to make sure it is perfect and it is exactly what you guys want to see. But on that, there's so many different options coming through here that you're almost spoiled for choice, aren't you? Because there really is something for every option.
It's an incredible gap filler, really, because there's been so many locomotives brought out in double O scale over the last 10 to 15 years. Absolutely brilliant pre-grouping designs there. We've had coal tanks, we've had P classes, we've had pretty much everything for every company, really. but we've never had the rolling stock to put behind them. They look good on their own, but at the same time, they really do need coaches to haul. And thousands upon thousands of 4 and 6 wheel coaches plied their trade through the Victorian, Edwardian eras. You could not move for them in those eras, really. Every company had their own variation and liveries in there as well. So to bring these through gives so many locomotives something to haul for the first time.
That's it. And if you're not too sure about the history of these type of coaches, it really is a fascinating story, really. These were around during the genesis of railways in the UK, hence the name of the project. And there were so many different designs, it's almost impossible to cover them in just one model, hence the way we've done it with so many different options within the 4 and 6 wheel coach makes that we're producing. But every company had their own designs, and they might have produced perhaps 5 to one design and then another 10 to another design. So there were absolutely thousands of types of these things around. But all have little similarities there, and what we tried to do is pick the best and the most common features and amalgamate them into these coaches, which, as you can see from the designs we put on earlier, that comes across quite well.
Check out the link on the description now, because you'll find all those different types of coaches that we are making. But we are also producing 3 batches to start with of these vehicles as well, covering pretty much every pre-grouping livery in there too. So you'll see the first batch will be with us early next year in 2021, and they're covering a lot of the well-known liveries such as the South Eastern Chatham livery, but also some of the big 4 in there as well. You've got the LMS and the GWR too. The second batch covers some more pre-grouping liveries too. You've got the Great Central in there and the Great Eastern as well. They'll be following on later in 2021, and there's some more livery options there as well. Batch 3 we haven't got a date for quite yet, but they are liveries we are intending to produce, some of which are quite popular, including the Somerset and Dorset Prussian Blue as well. So whichever allegiance you have in your pre-grouping railway company, there will be a Genesis coach available for you.
That's it. There really are some incredible, vibrant liveries coming through here, and the model is really going to set these off well. There's going to be an incredible amount of features in these coaches. There's, of course, very capable chassis, incredible intricate detailing with a lot of separately fitted parts. You've got a full interior in there, and of course every single coach is available with lighting as well, and it's accurate to the different eras as well in there. And of course they will be digital ready as well, so you can put an 18-pin decoder in there and you can power your lights with your digital layout as well.
And this year is going to be the year where this project really comes through the development stages, working through from the first prototype sample, the decorated samples in there as well. So do sign up for notifications, and of course we'll be featuring them here on Platform 1 as the project develops as well. I can't wait.
That's it. 2020 really is the year of the Genesis coach, and we're so excited to share more with you. So do make sure you subscribe to the channel as well, and you'll see more episodes of Platform 1 and all the other videos we show on Hattons. Do check out our social media pages over on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram as well, and you can get all the latest news through there. And of course, keep around our website too, but there's so much coming through this year. We are very excited to share more.
It really is. But it's not just us either. A lot of the major manufacturers have already made huge plans for 2020. Even on the first day of the year, we have so much to look forward to from pretty much all the regular names that we know, really. And Dapol are probably the first place to start with a lot of what they're bringing through. And to complement our 66, one of the hotly anticipated 00 diesel locomotives of this year has got to be the Class 59.
Absolutely. Let's take a look at some of them here. So we've got the latest painted sample images that we have to show for you right here, and there's quite a few different vibrant colour schemes coming through. As you can see, Foster Yeoman, that original livery on screen right now. But there's also DB Schenker, you've got Arc as well, and there are a couple of other liveries coming through, and these are set to be a really good model. There's so many advanced features on here, really heavy chassis, a lot of details, as you can see from the pictures there, a lot of separately fitted parts, you've got a detailed interior, quite a few tooling variations on the underframe details, and this will also have rotating axle boxes as well. So it really will complement our forthcoming Class 66.
And for viewers who aren't familiar, the design is similar to the 66. Essentially, the 59 is pretty much the father of the 66.
It's the daddy really. 66, isn't it?
They were one of the first major US or, well, international built locomotives for use in the UK, introduced in the 1980s. The 66 was a development of that design, but the 59s were here first. They were here 10 years before, and they're still in use today as well, hauling very heavy freight trains in the south of England. So really still plying that trade alongside the 66. And you can see the family design there, you can see the heritage carried through to the later design, but at the same time they are their own distinctive locomotives. They've got a very different sound, a lot of different features on there as well, and Dapol have really gone to town with that tooling to make sure those distinctive features really stand out. We saw on the images there the different light clusters at the front, which are fully working as well. Some really unusual liveries compared to the 66s as well, such as National Power and ARC. So real opportunity to get not only one modern American locomotive on your 00 layout, but two this year. So really good one to take a look at, and we're expecting those towards the end of the spring this year now, but as soon as we get more concrete information, we'll put it here on Platform 1 and on our listings as well.
It's like you say, they are very similar to the 66, but they totally have their own story to tell.
Yes.
Some of those liveries are totally unique to that class, and it's something that you only really see on a 59. And of course, as you touched on, they've got a bit of a different face to the 66, haven't they? Especially the earlier versions. And, you know, it just adds a bit of differentiation to your layout and a lot of great new items to pull.
But let's head in for the diesel side, and they are coming through very strongly in the steam side. Of course, we don't have time to feature absolutely everything that they are bringing through in 2020, but one of the highlights in the steam locomotive development in 00 is the 43XX Mogul. Now, this has been coming for a couple of years, and we saw the decorated samples towards the end of 2019, but these really are something special. You can see, for me, it's the chassis that stands out there, just the sheer amount of detail on the wheels, but also the liveries fully replicated. As we expect with Dapol, they've not just brought out one or two variations. There's liveries available that cover the entire lifespan of these locomotives from the 1920s into the 1960s when they were withdrawn, and a couple of the preservation survivors as well.
This is one that I got to have a really close look at Wally 2019, and it's something that is really shaping up to be an incredible model, and one deserving of the 43XX. It really is a locomotive that really deserves a top-end model for UOO gauge modelers, and it is shaping up amazingly well. There's a lot of weight in this model. As you can see from the photos, an incredible amount of detail on those production samples there, and there's a really great new coupling mechanism for the tender and the locomotive that makes it really easy to get that running straight away on your layout. There's not much that needs to be done. It's literally a click fit and off it goes. And it's easy enough to couple and uncouple if you need to, but it's not going to be coming undone in running on your layout. So it's a really smart design, that one.
And that's not all for fans of features as well, is it? We've got an 18-pin socket in there, space for a digital sound speaker, a flickering firebox as well. So really are cramming it into those models. And as you said, it's deserving for this mixed traffic locomotive. There's not been a high detail model on the market for quite a few years now, actually. But these were one of the GWR's mainstays, used for over 30 years on a lot of different duties. Freight, some light passenger workings there as well. Really strong, reliable design.
Absolutely.
The initial designs there as well, a lot of them were used in World War I in France as well. So again, nice little link to the history there as well if you're operating the significant sort of railway operating division locomotives in World War I too.
And there's quite a few in preservation today that you can go and see as well. And Dapol has covered the full lifespan of the class really here. So you can get models in the GWR colour schemes and BR in a number of different conditions as well. So it is really great to see there's something for every layout.
And we've got these to look forward to in the summer of this year. They should be with us in about 6 months' time, and they are available to pre-order right now, either analog, digital, or digital sound fitted. So take a look at that link in the description.
I can't wait to get hold of another one of those and share it with you guys on Platform 1 as well, because it is really shaping up to be a great model, this one.
You can have a very good second look in that case, I think.
That's it.
But that's not the only steam they're bringing through this year, and one of the anticipated locomotives in N-Gauge definitely has to be the Bullied Pacific. Now, this is something that people have been crying out for in N-Gauge. This is pretty much the one you hear about because it is such an unusual and distinctive design, and it's a huge gap missing from the N-Gauge market as well.
You can see from these prototype photos how unique this locomotive is, and you can see why so many people would want to see this in N-Gauge. It's a model we've had in double O gauge before, and it's always been a popular seller. And I'm sure this one's going to be an incredible seller in N-Gauge as well, because it is just a unique thing. But it did see a lot of use as well, didn't it? It wasn't one of these experimental locomotive designs that died out before it got started. It really did get a lot of use.
When a lot of companies were building standard style locomotives in the 1930s and 1940s, Oliver Bulleid of the Southern Railway really was thinking different and quite out of the box designs. Some of the streamlining there, but also the chain driven drive on the locomotives as well. So some really distinct features compared to other locomotives from the Big Four. Went a little bit more unusual and developed the Q1060s as well, the wartime locos. After his time at the Southern, of course, he went over to Ireland and developed locomotives that burnt turf. So that innovation there really carried through, and you can see it in the design of the Bulleid Pacific. Hence, it is one of the most iconic steam locomotives of that era as well. And Dapol are going to do that model justice as well. They've promised pretty much every livery variation in there, from the Southern Malachite Green right through to the BR Green there as well. And with over 15 of these locomotives in preservation, it's a really great opportunity to see these across the country in real life as well, and get one in N gauge. And the models promised a lot of detail. We've got an iron core motor in there as well, which that's got to be an immense haulage capacity.
Yeah, especially for N gauge as well. Yeah,
we've got an 18-pin digital socket. We've got full heavy die-cast chassis in there too. Different tender toolings, different options for the raves on the front as well. So this really is something promising, and Dapol have promised us updates continuing right through this year as well until the model's released. We're expecting sample photos, decorated sample photos too, and we'll be featuring those as soon as we get them. But you can register your interest and pre-order right now as well. All deliveries announced are available to order if you check out that link in the description.
I think this is going to be one of the biggest N-gauge models of 2020, really. It's something you guys are really going to be looking forward to. And it's almost similar to the A4 in that it's one of those unmistakable loco designs that even outside of enthusiast circles, people are often quite aware of, really. So I think it is deserving of a quality N-gauge release, and it's something we are going to see a lot more on in 2020. But speaking of seeing more of in 2020, it's not just Apple, is it? There's a lot coming through from Helgen. And I think we're going to have to talk about the diesel logo first, the Class 25, which is coming through.
This is a complete remake from the ground up of the Class 25 locomotive, representing the later built locos with the 3 larger windows at the front. And as we can see here from the hand-painted decorated sample and the engineering prototype images, this, as we expect with Helgen details, is absolutely crammed with details. You've got the full-etch grills there on the front, you've got the headco panels there as well, the flush glazing, all the details on the underframe too. You've got the powerful 5-pole motor going inside. They've engineered a lot of space for a hefty DCC speaker, and these 25s have a really distinctive sight and a really distinctive noise as well. That Sulzer power unit in them, so quite iconic to enthusiasts who know that sound from the 1960s running right through to the late 1980s. And again, as we've seen with a lot of these locomotives, there are many survivors in the preservation world too that can be seen all over the UK. So you don't just have to have a BR era layout to have one of these. They are a distinctive locomotive that's still plying their trade today.
Absolutely. One thing that really impressed me when we first got to take a look at these locomotives is that level of detail on the underframe. There is a lot going on down there, and it's really intricately applied and quite fine bogey detail and stuff like that. There's also an incredible amount of detail, as you will have seen from those pictures, on the buffer beam too, and we are really excited to see some full painted samples and production samples coming through in 2020 as well. But even from those engineering samples, you can see how much Helgen is putting into this model, and when we had it out on our layout as well, the performance of it was superb. So I am impressed to see what more is going to come through in 2020 on this one. And
we are expecting to see decorated samples of those very soon this month as well. So as soon as we get those, we'll be featuring them right here on Platform 1. And of course, you can pre-order them now. And if you do so, you'll get the notifications about those decorated samples as well. That's it. Check out those links in the description now, and everything we're talking about here today can be pre-ordered right now. So do take a look on our website, and you can get even more details and see all the latest updates for those models as well. But it's not just diesels coming through from Helgen, is it? We've also got the new Class 86 in double O gauge. Yes, this is again a completely new model from the ground up, featuring the 86 for pretty much all of its life now, really. Initially announced last year were the first versions in the 1960s and 1970s liveries, but coming through from that, we got an announcement a few months ago at Wally now that later liveries in the 1980s to modern day colour schemes are coming through as well. it is a boom time for electric modelers at the moment, really. If you're modelling an overhead system in double O gauge, you've had the Hornby 87 come in over the last few years, which has been made in a lot of liveries such as Virgin Trains and Intercity Swallow, and the 86 really complements that. I mean, these have ran side by side ever since they were built, really. They really are good companions and used on the West Coast main line. The 86s went a little bit further and worked on the Great Eastern main line as well, even working on Caledonian sleeper services up until a couple of years ago. And the 86s have actually outlasted the 87s, their younger counterpart, and are still in use with Freightliner today.
That's it. These really are one of the stalwarts of the electric operation in the UK. Obviously being one of those pioneering early British rail electric designs, but they've managed to last so long in operation, and they've been used for quite a lot of different duties too. Of course, being early used for express passenger duties, you can still see them now working freight services.
Yes.
So we quite often see them coming past the Hattons hub here on various freight services, including intermodals and other workings as well. So there is a lot of different opportunities to run one of these on your layout, and we're really excited to see what Helgen's going to bring through with the model as well, because as we touched on there, and as you can see from the photos, there will be quite a few different up-to-date liveries coming through in there, such as Caledonian Sleeper and Freightliner. So I think it is really an important model that is, you know, covering such an important locomotive on the mainline scene today.
And to see the differences that have been carried out on those locomotives over the 50 years, it's almost going to be two different models released from Helgen, covering the original style we see on the screen there as well, with the cross-arm pantograph, coming right through into the 1970s and early 1980s. But then there's a huge jump where the locomotives were updated and modernised, and a lot of different fittings placed on them as well. And under the hood, we're getting a lot of the fine detail that we expect. Again, the underframe that was on the 25, the same level of detail will be on the 86 as
Absolutely,
well.
yeah.
The digital features in there, space for a big speaker, but the actual body, we're going to be playing a lot of spot the difference there, I think, with just the amount of changes that's gone on, the distinctive liveries as well. So we are going to be seeing the original style 86s first. We'll be seeing those in the summer, with the later liveries coming right at the end of 2020 so far. But they are all available to pre-order now. Whether you're a fan of the 1960s, the current day, or everything in between, there is a Class 86 for your layout in Double O.
That's it. Check out the link in the description. You can find out much more about the model and pre-order yours today. Now we've got something that I'm particularly excited for. As you guys know, I am a big fan of the narrow gauge scene, and this, of course, is the next Linton and Barnstable locomotive from Helgen, which is completing the Linton and Barnstable story, really, with the LNB 242 Lin, which is coming through at some point this year, and we are really excited to get a look at this one again, which we saw the prototype sample for at Whalley.
We're coming into a great decade for the Linton and Barnstable Railway in real life, with the real railway reopening stage by stage since its closure in 1935, and a huge part of that is this replica locomotive that's been built. It entered service last year now as well, and is back at home on the Linton and Barnstable Railway. And this, combined with the Manning Wardle locomotives and a huge amount of history and following for the line, really has made the 009 locomotives popular. We've had Helgen's own models of the Manning Wardle 262s, and to fill the last gap, we've had the Baldwin built locomotive as well. This was actually built in America in 1898 due to a builder shortage in the UK, so it's a completely different design to the locomotives otherwise used on the line. Really does have that American characteristic. We've had people before say it matches locomotives built in Australia as well. So the great thing is here, it's not only being produced as Lin, you can buy it pre-unnumbered as well in plain black. So if you do want to have it for a more international layout, you certainly can do.
That's it. Not even just international though, but anywhere else in the UK. Yes. You can get it in that freelance colour scheme there, and you can operate that on any layout of your choosing. But this model is going to have a lot of features, well, of course, from the original LNB 262 model that Helgen's brought out for about a year and a half now. That one's absolutely packed with features. There's a really heavy die-cast chassis on there. You've got die-cast tanks. And on this model, we'll be seeing the same as well. There's a lot of die-cast on the chassis, so it's going to be a nice, heavy, capable runner. You've got a working headlight on the front on some models, and there's a lot of separately fitted details, really bringing out that American charm, as Dave touched on. And it is such a totally unique model, this one. It's not like anything else in the UK, really. So it is fascinating to see a model of this coming through for 009 gauge models.
We have mentioned before, actually, that although Lynn was a one-off, this has to be, it's certainly the model I've seen where so much of its history is covered in model form.
Yeah.
Every variation of the tooling is in there, even for a one-off locomotive. Every single livery carried by the locomotive from 1898 to 1935 is covered as well. So I know we say, oh, you can tell the whole story from the models, but this really is a model where you can tell the whole story. And again, we can see there that this has been hugely popular so far with people who've already got the Manning Wardle locomotives and the suitable coaches, and even other locomotives coming through in 009 scale as well. We've got Cato's It's Small England and Festinio Double Fairley, which we look forward to hearing more about this year as well. So it's a great time for narrow gauge modelers, but certainly Lynn is the one to watch.
Oh, absolutely. It really is going to be a year of narrow gauge in 2020. Obviously, as you touched on there, with more locomotives coming through from Pico and Cato, and of course there's a lot of rolling stock coming through as well, so there's going to be even more for your trains to pull. So it is really exciting time to get into that side of the hobby, but there's another side of the hobby that's going to be exciting to get into this year as well, and that's O-gauge, of course.
There is. We're going big again there.
We're going back to the big stuff again here.
So not only have we got the A4s coming through, but Helgen has got a huge catalogue of O-gauge locomotives and rolling stock coming through in 2020. There's so much to feature. I mean, we could be here for the whole hour if we talked about Helgen's O-gauge range. But some of the highlights certainly have to be their first 3-car multiple unit in the 117, which we've seen the first engineering prototypes for. This complements the 121 and the 122 and the trailer cars that they're bringing through for those as well. And we've seen a lot of O-gauge diesel locomotives from Helgen, but rarely have we seen multiple units, and certainly not a 3-car multiple unit such as this. These were used all over the UK from the 1960s, surviving right up until the end of the 1990s in the Network South East livery we see there. So really good opportunity to model more of the mundane side of a layout, but certainly the characterful side of a layout as well.
I think it's great to see more of these first generation multiple units coming through in O-gauge. There is a lot of different ways you could use these on a layout, and obviously with it being a multiple unit, that's an entire train there ready to go, so you don't need anything else to run with it. And especially if you want a smaller O-gauge layout, it really is easy to set up something perhaps like an end-to-end layout where a train runs off into the back scene quite quickly. It's quite a good unit to go with, such as that. But these did operate in quite a few different places as well, so there is quite a few different opportunities for modelers of different areas of the UK as well.
And of course, some great layout opportunities there as well. They did operate on some rural branch lines, but also the Class 117, with the sheer amount of doors, was a great suburban unit for use in commuter areas. So they ran into London, they ran into Edinburgh, Glasgow as well. So some real opportunities, whether you want a country byway or a really urban, gritty station as well. But coming back to the locomotives, I mean, where do we start with Helgen next year?
There's just so much going through.
We've got a new Class 17. We've got more Class 37-4s in more liveries. We've got
47.
a Class 47 and the Class 31 refurbishment as well we've got there, which you can see on the screen at the moment. This represents the later built locomotives, and they're available to pre-order now as well. So you've got the Railfreight liveries there, as well as the BR Blue. You've got Regional Railways, Network Rail. That's complemented by the Class 17 that we mentioned, which is coming through in BR Green and BR Blue. The Class 47 that we just saw the first EP of at the back end of last year, which is coming through in those BR liveries as well as some of the later liveries too. 37-4s coming in modern era liveries such as Colas Rail as well. Just so much, really. You've got to take a look at that link in the description to just see the sheer amount of O-gauge diesels that Helgen are bringing through.
There really is something for everyone, and obviously we've just taken a quick look at the 31 there, which of course is one of BR's early pioneering diesel designs as part of their modernisation plan. And there is a lot of different varieties of this coming through, and it really shows Helgen's commitment to bringing more models through for some of the later eras of BR, so for the 80s, 90s, and even into the 2000s with privatisation liveries. It is great to see more of those options coming through for O-gauge modelers, because there has been a bit of a lack of that sort of models in the past, and there will be more rolling stock available to complement these releases as well, such as the modern era Mark 1 coaches. You've got the brand new Mark 2 coaches coming through as well, so it is really going to be an exciting time for the O-gauge scene. And if you are a fan of the more the more modern side of the of things, then there is going to be a lot of items coming through for you.
And as ever, these updates do come through thick and fast from the manufacturers as well. So always keep in tune with Platform 1. We'll be bringing you the latest updates on everything we've mentioned and more here throughout the year.
That's it. So stay tuned to the show and you'll be able to find out the latest on everything in the modelling world. But we just talked a little about more modern era items. I think we're going to have to jump back to the steam age, aren't we, here?
And 00 as well. And this really was something that took the world by storm in 2019, I think. We certainly saw a lot of anticipation for this one. We should be getting them through in the spring. I think people might know what I'm talking about. We're talking about Oxford Rail's J27. Now, this really is a gap filler. We've said the word a couple of times in this episode, but this has to be the one. These locomotives plied the trade through the northeast of England for many, many years. One of the last locomotives withdrawn from service in the late 1960s. It's a pre-grouping design, really distinctive northeastern features that you can see there, especially looking into the cab. But this has been a locomotive that's been very high on wish lists for many years. With the popularity of Hornby's Q6080, it was likely that it was going to happen, and I'm so glad that it's happened with Oxford Rail because this quality of model really is something special.
As you touched on, this is something people have been after for a long time, and it really is one of those understated workhorse locomotives, the J27, but it does still have a bit of a distinctive look to it. A lot of people really do like its sort of chunky charm that it has. There's a really distinctive look to it, and as you say, Oxford model is really going to make an impact here with a lot of features. Obviously, they cut the teeth on tender locos with the Dean Goods, of course, which has seen an immense amount of popularity and a lot of different liveries coming through. So I would expect that there will be a lot more to come for the J27 as well. But of course, in this early release, there's quite a lot of the history covered as well. You've got some different LNER liveries and BR in there as well. And it's great to see this model coming through. As you touched on, it's something that people have wanted for a while, and it complements other locomotives that we've seen recently from that region of the railways.
We are expecting them in the summer of 2020, so check out that link in the description where not only can you pre-order them, but you can also see full details of the history of the class. We see the preserved example on the screen at the moment, and also pre-order the 4 distinct liveries coming through. Also with digital sound recorded from the sole surviving example we see in the images there as well. But an important thing to remember about Oxford Rail and Oxford Diecast as well is that their major announcement of their new lines for the year is at the end of January. So we will be featuring that. We'll be bringing you more details on when exactly that is and what's in it as soon as we know. So do keep track, because we've got the J27 to look forward to at the moment, but I'm sure we're going to be getting a full 2020 range there with some really exciting additions as well. We've not been given any spoilers actually, because I would tell you if I could, but at the same time, I'm looking forward to it just as much as everyone. So we'll be bringing you more on that as soon as we know, so keep your eyes peeled for the date and the info.
I'm sure there'll be a few great surprises in there, and of course the Oxford diecast range gets updated throughout the year as well, so there's usually quarterly releases for the diecast range, and there's usually a lot of different re-liveries and even some new models that come through with each new quarter, so do keep an eye out for those coming through as well. But speaking of big announcements, who's going to have the biggest announcement in 2020? Of course, that's Hornby's 2020
and
range.
This is 5 days away now. This is on Monday the 6th, so set your calendars and reminders for this one. It's at 10 o'clock on Monday. So this will be coming through. We're expecting a whole announcement for their new range, new models, new features, new liveries. Everything in their 2020 catalogue will be revealed at that time. And we'll have it on our website straight away to order. We'll be featuring the full news details. Every single livery, every single product will be there. So this coming Monday at 10 o'clock, make sure you're on our website for the whole information from the range. And again, we've not had any spoilers as much as I would have liked to have done, but at the same time, we're just as excited as you to see what Hornby have brought through, because as we covered in the Christmas Day episode, 2019 was a fantastic year with so many great new models coming through. But one of the 2019 announcements that we've really got looking forward to is the Princess Royal locomotive. This completes Hornby's set of LMS Pacifics, with the Coronation and the streamlined Coronation being brought out a number of years ago now, but this really does bring the Princess Royal up to a highly detailed locomotive covering 3 distinct liveries.
As you can see here, these are shaping up to be absolutely fantastic. We did get a closer look at the LMS livery sample back at Wally, but they have just shown us some of the other liveries going through, such as this wonderful BR Express Blue example, as you can see now, and of course BR Maroon as well. There is some interesting names on these locomotives as well, because they were all named after royalty, of course, being called the Princess Royal class. And there's a lot of excitement for this one. It's going to be, Hornby I've got a penchant for big express passenger locomotives from the steam era, and they have amazing track history for producing these, and the Princess Royal is no exception to that, really. As you can see from these sample photos, there's a lot of detail on this, a lot of body detail, a lot of underframe detail. You've got a full interior on there. You can see all the riveting on the front here as well. You've got sprung buffers, of course, and there'll be full digital capability. You'll even be able to get factory digital fitted versions of these, and there's a lot more coming through with this as well.
And even if you're not a fan of LMS locomotives, it's important to realise the Princess Royal's place in locomotive history as well. The LMS, following its formation in 1923, really had a smaller locomotive policy to use smaller designs and double-head them. The largest locomotives built prior to the Princess Royal were the Royal Scot locomotives, and they were 460s. Now, William Stanier came across from the Great Western Railway, where they built a lot of larger locomotives, such as the Castles and the Kings as well, and one of his first designs was the Princess Royal. So it just transformed the LMS, being that first Pacific that they'd ever really operated, heavy express locomotives built for hauling heavy trains over the steep Cumbrian hills as well. So it's got its place in locomotive history, and Hornby's model looks fantastic. And as said, that's the first thing we know of that's coming through in 2020, but keep an eye on Monday morning, because we'll know the full range to complement it as well, and it's going to be just as exciting.
Oh, absolutely. I'm sure there'll be a lot of amazing surprises in there, and we're just excited as you are to see it. So do make sure to keep an eye on our website on the 6th of January. We will be updating it as quickly as you can live all day, so do make sure to stay on there and you can see everything as it happens, really. But I think that just rounds everything off quite nicely. We've come to the end of the show now, unfortunately, but thank you very much for joining us. Everything we've covered today can be pre-ordered right now, so do click those links in the description. You can find out more about everything. Of course, as we touched on, the Hornby announcement will be on Monday, the 6th of January. Following that, we will be covering as much as we can in the next episode of Platform 1 as well, which will be back to normal on the Friday, the 10th of January. So do make sure to join us along for that one. Subscribe to the channel to make sure that you get the notifications for every YouTube video that we create, and do make sure to sign up to all of our social media channels, Facebook, Instagram and Twitter, for all of the latest updates on there as well.
And don't forget, this is just the first day of 2020 as well.
And there's already all of
this. We know so much. This is going to be another year of things we don't know at the moment. We're going to get so many great new announcements through from various different manufacturers, a lot of great bargain opportunities, some real surprises in there as well. And we've covered what we know, but it's going to just be another fantastic year where every single week there's updates, there's news, there's great opportunities. So do keep in touch. You'll always get the news here first on Platform 1, on our social media channels and on our websites as well. So make sure you sign up for all of those and click that link in the description to be having the news first.
That's it. It's an amazing time for modelling at the moment. 2019 was already a huge year for the model railway community, and 2020 is not going to be an exception. As you can see from today, there's already so much on the way, and there'll be even more in the future. So keep in touch, and there'll be lots to come in 2020.
We'll see you throughout the year.
See you later.